Typings are an important part of being a Pokemon trainer, and when considering weaknesses, strengths, immunities, and resistances, many trainers have experimented with each type in combination with the other types to see how they mesh on their team. Well, what's good, Chaotic Nation? It's your boy Chaos here, and today I wanted to go over 5 type combinations in Pokemon that I have enjoyed and would consider to be my 5 favorite type combinations. This ranking is more based on the usefulness of these typings rather than the Pokemon that have these typings, because some of these Pokemon aren't ones that I particularly have strong feelings towards. So I wanted to look more at why I would like the typings rather than the Pokemon inside of them. Before we get started, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well, and leave your favorite type combination in the comment section down below. It'd be cool to see what you guys think before watching the video and see if that matches up with anything that I have on the list. With that being said, let's dive into today's list. Starting off at number 5, we have the Bug Electric type combination. Only the Galvantula line and Vikavolt line hold this type combination. Now, there's nothing particularly great with the stat matchups, since Bug and Electrics are only weak to Fire, Rock, and only resist Electric, Fighting, Steel, and Grass, but I like this typing because it has great offensive power. Between the two same type attack bonuses, or stab as I will refer to it, nothing resists both Electric and Bug. This makes the type combination really great on the offensive side of the spectrum, making Glass Cannons do massive amounts of damage to an opponent with just its stab moves, which can allow a useful trainer to have the other 2 move slots be other helpful moves on the Pokemon for some nice niche battling. Number 4 is Dragon and Steel. This type is a menace, only being weak to ground and fighting, while resisting or being immune to 10 of the other 18 types. Dragons also tend to be pretty powerful Pokemon, and with the likes of Hisui and Gudra, Duraludon, and Dialga having this type, we have some really good options. I would argue that I only have begun to really appreciate this typing recently, mostly due to the introduction of Fairy types in Generation 6. Steel types have been on the rise in order to counter those fairies that have joined in the meta. Removing the fairy weakness on a dragon is quite helpful in making it a good member of the team, with all these fairy types running around. So I appreciate this type because it mixes both Steel and Dragon, 2 really solid defensive and offensive typings together, which really gives you the best of the both sides of the battle. Fire and Dragon take up the number 3 slot. Of course, I chose this because Charizard is my favorite Pokemon, and this type is Charizard's type. Well, it should have been. But similar to the previous entry, Fire types counter the weakness to Fairy that Dragon types have. Fire and Dragon slightly outranks Dragon and Steel because I feel like this has a way better way to deal with the weaknesses of each of the 2 types that make up this combination. Fire can deal with the Steels that resist Dragon moves, and Dragon types counter the Fire weakness to Water. Now, this type is weak to Dragon, Ground, and Rock, but also resists Fire, Electric, Steel, and Grass. Much like our number 5 slot, these stabs can run through any other typing we see because nothing resists both Fire and Dragon. Our number 2 slot swaps out Dragon for Psychic to make it Fire and Psychic. If you've caught on to this trend, I like this type because it can deal with pretty much every typing in the game, which doesn't separate it from the previous entries on the list. We also see the weaknesses to Ground, Ghost, Water, Dark, and Rock, but resistances to Fire, Fighting, Psychic, Steel, Grass, Ice, and Fairy. What really stands out to me for this typing is it is a special attacker's dream. Fire and Psychics are both powerful in their own right as special attackers, but putting them together makes them even better. As I mentioned, nothing resists both types, and with the general coverage of these 2 typings, mostly meaning Fairy, you really shouldn't have an issue dealing with anything you have to go up against, making it a really solid Pokemon type to have and use. Now, before we jump into the number 1 pick, I would like to offer an honorable mention in Dark and Ghost. Before Generation 6, I would have placed this typing at the top of the list as the only type combination not to have a weakness, making it particularly good with Prankster Sableye and powerful attack of Spiritomb. Dark Ghost isn't particularly bad now, but Fairy does make it have a weakness. But not having this weakness made this typing incredible. It was always the thing that people talked about. You know, how do we deal with Sableye? It doesn't have any weaknesses. But guess we just gotta hit it hard enough and hope it goes down. I feel like now it's more of a mediocre typing since it has a weakness and people don't really talk about it as much. But it's still a pretty cool typing and has some pretty good Pokemon inside of it as well. My number one pick is Water and Ground. This typing tops the list simply because it has one weakness, being Grass. Now I know there are other typings out there that only have one weakness, but none of them have quite the utility that Water and Ground types get. You get all the bulkiness of Water types with the offensive power of Ground types. You can choose to be offensive, you can choose to be defensive, you can run support or even stall. This typing has everything you could need as long as you don't go outside and touch grass, which is pretty easy to counter with other members of your team. So just find something that resists grass types and use it on your team to aid this Pokemon in its conquest. I've used all of these Mons in this typing, and all of them have incredibly useful skill sets, moves, and abilities that make them really good depending on what you're looking for. And I believe the typing really helps out with that, making it my favorite combination. Thank you for watching, and let me know what your favorite type combo is in the comment section down below if you haven't done that already. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel to help support the content that I'm working on. Make sure you check out my content on other platforms such as Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Discord, and Invisible Corporations for more content from me. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Chaos, signing off. Stay safe, and as always, burn it up.